Welcome to the Jackie Tan podcast. This podcast is a tribute to you, the passionate, the dedicated, the curious, not only about elevating your performance, but also living a deep and fulfilling life of joy and excitement and challenge and discovery. And I'm so excited to bring once again my very good friend Josh Smith back on the show because we talk about all things personal and business evolution and growth. Obviously, it's something that is close to my heart. It's something that I'm going through at the moment. I mean, we're all going through, we're all growing, we're all evolving, even if we don't think so at the time. The things that are happening in our lives, the things that are challenging us, the things that, the circumstances that we come up against, we all grow from these things. And it was such a wonderful conversation to have with Josh about his current growth and all of the growth that he's had over his, lifetime, but also especially through his business. He's just celebrated his 15-year anniversary for Mitise Performance. So we talk about all of his different learnings throughout his time as a business owner. So that was really fascinating to hear. But of course, I'm talking with Josh. So it's not just that. We dive into all sorts of things. We talk about women's sport. We talk about how to go for your dreams and really set the path so that you can achieve your goals. What could be holding you back? There are so many things. So it's such an enjoyable conversation. Enjoy this one, as always, with the incredible Josh Smith. Joshua.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. I mean, I know we both crack up laughing, but literally it has been 36 minutes of trying to
set up,
get
yep.
the show in a state of recording.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are. Welcome to the Jackie Tan show.
Yes!
That feels so wanky.
No, it doesn't. Not to me.
I know.
I'm sure not to the listeners either.
And do you know what? I was going to say you're the only person that's, really encouraged me to do that, but you're also the only person that I was that I informed that I was thinking of changing the name. And that kind of brings us to the theme of today's episode.
Okay.
Because I felt there was a need to change the name because of my personal evolution and growth, and obviously the podcast as well, because that's an extension of me. And you've just celebrated 15 years of business.
Yes.
So I'm sure within that 15 years there's been many evolutions and chapters. So that's what I want to talk about today. But before we do get into that,
okay,
I want to ask, how's your 2024 going so far?
It's going. It's it's been very different to 2023, and there's been a lot of stuff that has happened, which was all kind of prepared for and planned for in 23. And then it's like kind of actioning it. So it's going all right. Like, I think we discussed this briefly yesterday. Like, things are right, and how you interpret those things, you can interpret good or bad or just they are, and you move through them. And so things have been, and then we've adapted through them. And now I feel like probably end of March. So it's probably been 2.5 months of just like hectic, just making shit happen. And so now I'm feeling like we're coming out the other side, which has been really positive. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. When you're going through that and things are happening, what is the mental talk? What is the external conversations? Like, what's happening and how do you move through that?
It's, here's where we are. Here's what we've got to do next. Work. Like that's it. As in, like, all these things happen, and it's a matter of working out, for me, how we then or how I then, depending on what it is, move through what's come up. Now, like I said, things are never good nor bad. And how do we then plan for the next phase or plan for the next stage? What needs to be done? Like, put it this way, when we're in the depths of everything happening all at once, like heaps of stuff, I was like, all right, cool. Well, if I get up at my normal time and live my days as I have been normally, a normal day, I haven't got enough time in the day to do what I need to do, to plan, prepare, whatever, because there's, contact and communication with people and things happening and appointments and whatever. So I was like, I need to get up earlier. So like I got up at 3 a.m. one morning and just whiteboarded all the stuff. You know what I mean? So give yourself an extra hour in the day. And I was like, just brain dump everything that needs to be done or you think needs to be done. Because when there's, say, an overwhelm or an anxiety, you're feeling that because you have a multitude of options, but don't know which ones to take. So for me, it was like, all right, well, I've just got to write them all down, see them visually, get them off my brain. And as soon as I did that and had done that, it was almost like this mental breath, like, and then you can see it. All right, cool. Now, which of these are viable? What are we doing next? How does this then present? And then you do the same thing again, just with a smaller whiteboard.
And you needed to wake up at 3 a.m. to do that.
Yeah, there was about a week of it where everything had just happened all at once. Like, so put it this way, what I had planned for to happen in between July and September all happened in 5 days at the beginning of February.
Right.
And so I'd had like, oh yeah, I've got, I can take my time and plan this and this happening here and here's how this is going to work and this is what we're going to do there. And everything just went boom. Now at this time, I've got other stuff happening that I had planned for to happen in February. And so that all had to continue running. Those wheels had to keep going. That vehicle had to keep driving. And then I was like, oh, this one's now here. So now, like, if I do what I'm going to do now, like how I have been living my days and whatever, it's not going to be most effective. Everything's going to pile up. So you've got to create a little bit more space.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that it was going to be 5 days of just get up, work, get it done, rest, repeat, and then work through that. It wasn't never going to be a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Acute stress, get it done, sort it out, and then move on.
Yeah. Which I really like because when you have that expiration date, it always makes it easier.
Yep.
It doesn't make it easier. It makes it bearable to get through because you know it's going to come to an end.
Yeah.
But in saying that, for those listening going, there is no way I would be able to get up at 3 a.m. or like just that wouldn't work for me. Is there any other way that you could see someone doing that?
It depends on your day. It depends on how you structure your life. There's been a lot of thought process. I've had friends ask me the same question. And it comes down to how you structure your life, what you're prioritizing, what you feel you need or what you feel you want compared to what you need, and how determined are you to do it, and how do you want to make that happen? Like I said before, the feelings of anxiety or overwhelm can be sorted out by documenting or just brain dumping or, a conversation with someone or taking some time for yourself, meditate, all these things you can do. And it's just, have you got time to do them? And where can you find time to do them? And if that means, let's say you're in bed and you wake up and your partner's having a heart attack, right? They're thrashing about, whatever. You got to do something then and there. It doesn't matter what time of the night it's going to happen. You got to get up and do it, right? So it's an acute stress, and how acute the stressor is to you depends on the actions you're going to take. You're not going to be like, oh, I'll go back to bed for 3 hours and wake up at 6 and sort you then.
Yeah, when I'm ready.
I need my sleep, right? So it's that kind of like the intensity of the stress determines on the intensity of the outcome and the output that you can put into it.
It's such an awful explanation, but in saying that, it's one that really does hit home because it's the truth.
Yeah.
So however extreme it needs to be to get you through.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that really does make you think about your own priorities.
Yep.
So you recently celebrated 15 years
Yeah.
in business,
Yeah.
and I'd love to know how many evolutions there have been for you, or how many chapters, how many seasons, and what's changed, because obviously as we grow as people, our ideas change,
Yep.
our priorities change,
Yep.
what we think is important changes. So I'd love to know, like, who you were when you first started, and if you think you can count, how many evolutions do you think you've really had personally, but also in business as well? Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, when I was in business, like the business, yes, it's standalone, but also actually
Yeah.
it was an extension of who I was
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
So, and that obviously then reflects within the business. So how have the evolutions come for you?
Okay, so it's we celebrate 15 years of Mitise. So Mitise was 2009. I started a business in 2007. So 17 years in business. And so from the beginning, when I first started, I was working as a personal trainer, subcontractor, out of a multinational, multi-state gym, like a national chain. And when you start there, they basically give you like a 5-day introduction to them, their company, how they go about doing things, and then business. Because you're a subcontractor, you're running a business. Now, that was what I found out. What I then worked out probably about 10 years later was that what they gave you was very basic and probably not the most appropriate, nor effective, nor legally binding entrance into the business, and so if I had to set up something that is for subcontractors in the same instance, it'd be completely different. But that was the first instance. That was there for 3 years. Then from that, I basically went from there and was still doing personal training and adding groups into it at another studio, where I would then pay per session that I had. Whereas the first one was you pay a weekly fee. And outside that weekly fee, you can train as many people as you want within the confines of the gym itself. And then the next one was pay per session. So that meant the fee would then fluctuate. I could determine if I wanted more in, less in, and that was also capped at about the same price. Anyway, that gave me more flexibility with what I wanted to do and when, because there weren't the same constraints around, having to wear the national chains, uniform, and you do this and now opening hours and whatever it was. I had more flexibility with that. So that's when I started adding in like outdoor sessions and doing stuff with teams. And then after that, the next step was I got my own place. So around the same time, I'd actually decided to lease a room. And I say room very lightly. I reckon it was 9 square meters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like smaller than this room.
Yeah, it was 9 square meters.
It's like this.
It's like this area here, right? In a medical specialist center. It was part of a doctor's office. Now, I'll tell you right now, the room now, so I've been back there since, the room now is a storage facility for sperm, frozen sperm, and embryos for an IVF clinic. And literally you open the door and it's just storage. And I'm like, that's where I used to train people.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was 9 square meters. So I rented that. And that gave me more learning. So I learned more about, leases and landlords. That was at the same time as I was renting space at the other place. So I'd go there to do it was almost like introductions and one-on-one sessions. And the other place was more when I had like groups or people during the day in the city. Then from there, I ended up getting my own space. And that was wild because one night I was out and I walked past this venue that used to be a pharmacy, and I knew it as a pharmacy. And it was on this main road in Adelaide, like almost the corner of North Terrace and West Terrace. And I was pretty sure I was walking to McDonald's or a club. And I walked past and there's a big for lease sign on it. And I was like, oh, cool, like huge, like 3-meter high sign. And I was like, oh, wow. And I just was like, I'm going to inquire now, right? So I just sent an email off. It's like, how much for this place? Now, in my head, I'm like, I think it's a certain number, like the location of it and the frontage and the, advertising availability that was huge, right? And I inquired, and the number that came back was literally a seventh of what I thought it was going to be, because it was set up for demolition. They were going to demolish it and put a whole new, redevelop it, right? So now I've gone the evolution from having my own space and then a tiny little, 9 square meter area into now I've got 130 square meters, I think it was at that time, maybe 140. And so now I've got to fill it up with like equipment, and I've got to get people into it, and I've got to actually make some more money to cover a bigger lease and make it into a space. Then I could have like teams in, and then I could have groups in, and then I could have one-on-ones in. So then the other place I left, the 9 square meter place, I left that. The place has started to break down. And what happened in that time is that the redevelopments didn't occur and just get pushed out and blocked by council. And to this day, it's still standing. It's still standing. And so I left there in 2016, and it's now 2024. Yeah. Right. So it's still standing. Then I got the place I'm at now because I was like, okay, cool. We're getting a lot more people in. We're doing a lot more stuff. We need to have showers, car parking, a better facility. Something that's not getting run down. The landlord doesn't really care about it because it's scheduled for redevelopment anyway. So then we got this place we're in now, and been there since 2016 and just signed another lease on that. That's the structural development. Within that, there was a lot of personal development in understanding business and understanding how to run a business, understanding legalities, accounting requirements, anything that comes from expanding basically, and seeing more people and having more liabilities and more responsibilities, and how you go about doing that. And then, but by the time we got to place on West Terrace, we then got staff. So then I had to work out how we work with contractors and subcontractors and what that looks like. Then you got different relationships from that. And then from there, recently, the last 2 years, we've then got employees. And so that's a whole nother kettle of fish. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And the amount of stuff that comes from that. And with that, then you've got different tax liabilities and obligations. Then I had to learn like employment law for that. Then I had to learn broadly employment law for that. And then accounting, what was required for that. And then just added all that other stuff on my plate. And then here we are today. That's the brief.
Okay. When you first got into it, did you have a vision, and how has your vision evolved?
Okay. When I first became a trainer, my vision was I'm just going to train people and see what this is like. Now, I distinctly remember one day walking into that first gym space that I was subcontracting out of, and I walked in, and it was like a huge space in the city, and it was a former bank. And so it had like a mezzanine level and had like heaps of space on the cardio floor when you first walked in. I remember walking in, and I looked up at the mezzanine level, and I was like, oh, it'd be super cool to have a gym one day, right? I hadn't planned for it. Yeah. I hadn't decided that's what I wanted to do. There was no real vision of that. The vision at the time was to basically provide the best service that I could. Now that's evolved because what the definition of best service has changed as I've learned more and understood more about how the body works or how people work. What you can provide is changing, and so the vision's evolved from me doing my own thing, trying to, get, 40 sessions a week of clientele that funds my lifestyle, blah, blah, blah. So now going, all right, cool. How can we then provide something that is actually going to be a blueprint that others can use, or a blueprint that we can then expand on that does more than just exercises people? That's kind of how the vision has changed. And what we've seen is like there's definite space for what we want to be doing, how we want to be doing it, and providing it for people as times have changed. So I'd say the vision started with myself, and now it's like gone to like, what can we do? And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, what can we do for community? What can we do for industry as a whole? So I actually see a pathway for that.
You said at the beginning you wanted to provide the best service possible.
Yeah.
And that's changing because of what you've learned.
Yeah.
when did that change, and what did you learn that made you rethink what that meant for you? Because also that can be subjective.
Yeah, of course. No, it is subjective. It
So
is subjective.
what does that mean for you? What did it mean for you then, and what does it mean for you now?
Initially getting in, it was like what training can I provide that's going to get people the outcomes that they want?
Yep.
First and foremost. Then that was just once I'd just done my initial qualifications. Then when I was at the first gym, I did a seminar. So there was a guy that used to go around and do mentoring. He used to present to all the different gyms around the country. And I did a seminar from him that was on one exercise. It was a squat and it was 3 hours. And I was like, how are you going to talk for 3 hours on the squat? Right. I learned it in half a day at remote qualities. And I left that seminar and I was like, I know nothing.
You're like, oh.
Yeah.
I love those
Oh,
moments.
shit. Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I know
Yeah.
nothing. And that then spurred me on to learn more about like how body moves, or how bodies move and how the body responds to the stimuli. And so then it was like, all right, in order to provide an outcome for someone that is going to be tailored to what they want and efficient and fun and effective, I had to learn how the body moves more so than what I know now. And then I spent like 3 years learning that. And then you get to the point of like, okay, cool. Well, now I understand how the body moves, but am I understanding the mentality or the psychology or emotionally or hormonally? And then it was like, then as I will learn more stuff, like what can we add in? And that was about the same time I started to do my own thing where I had the flexibility and freedom to put into the business what I wanted to do. Like with Mitise itself, how can we then incorporate stress, or how do we can incorporate some community stuff, or how can we then incorporate is a changing environment, it's a fun atmosphere, and so that's all kind of updated and evolved. And so then it was like getting feedback from people for the people that we service. How do they think about what they want, and what are they requiring? And so then how do we then marry that up with them? So when I say best service for the clientele that we service.
Yeah.
And that's a feedback loop. Yeah. Clients know what they want and people know what they want to a degree. And it's only when you learn to interview them a bit more or ask them different questions, can you actually extract out what they really want. And I think what we found over time has been, for the business evolutions, people want great training. Well, not great training. They want their outcomes, physical outcomes, but they want to do it in a space they feel comfortable in. That's pretty much it. Is how do we then marry that up and how do we then provide that for them? It comes from like, all right, cool. Well, how do we do that? Would you like this? Would you like that? Over time. Lots of little conversations then provide the foundations for the building or the pyramid that we're trying to put together.
Yeah. And you do a lot of work with teams. You said you started that from the very beginning, or
I think it was a couple of years in.
A couple of years, and you're doing a lot with teams at the moment. So how did that start for you, and has there been a vision with that?
The vision developed. It started when I used to and still do play soccer. And so once I became a trainer, I was still playing a soccer team. And then I was like, I can do some training for the team if they want. This was my team. So like amateur division, I think it was 2 at the time. And so I started doing stuff with them. And then I started from there. One of the guys that I know, who I think was a coach for the team at the time, and then had very strong a relationship with the team, really did a lot of stuff for the team that I was with. He then said to me now we're talking 5 or 6 years later, would you want to do stuff with our women's team as well? We've got this women's team, doesn't have a trainer. We've been doing stuff. And I was like, yeah, cool. And that's what started that. And then from there, getting into that and having conversations with the players for women's teams, I learned a lot about what they weren't being given and from what I knew could be given. And so I was like, awesome. Well, we'll just start giving that then. and doing great work with them, then started to develop a name for what I was doing. And then I did more men's teams, and then we did women's teams, and that's basically been a theme all the way through. We haven't really had to promote what we're doing with that. And I think because the vision of what we have is to just do the best work we can and provide what we can for the clubs and the teams we work with, it kind of propagates from there. So the vision has never been, this is what we want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to try and help as many people as we can. A personal little ego vision or ego goal of mine back when I first started was with the women. I was like, I wonder if I can train any players in the national team. Like, how high can my stuff go? Because at that point in time, I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know what other people were doing. I didn't know what other training was happening. And so I was like, well, I've got my limitations. I know this much, right? And I can do this much. And what it turned out is that what I was doing was far and above what players were getting elsewhere at the time. And so ended up, you do great work, and then people talk about you, and then you do more great work and talk about you. And to the point where eventually they had players that were playing in the national team and multiple national teams, not just one. And we're talking about what they were doing. And I was like, we're doing that plus more. So I'm like, what we're doing is actually pretty good, And then so that kind of evolved. It's like this evolving kind of what's the next step rather than here's the vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been really encouraging as well, like a snowball effect. Like, wow, there's so much more that's possible if we're already doing this and that.
Yeah.
Were you at all surprised or shocked when you were made aware of what the women's team were not getting?
Initially, yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was like, wow.
I
was kind of like, this is basic stuff. They should be able to do that. Then as I began to understand more about how clubs or teams are run, that wasn't a shock.
Right. Why?
Because at that time, there wasn't a lot of care taken for women's teams, and clubs administrations didn't make money off of women's teams because they're businesses at the end of the day. And so if they're not making money, you're not going to get any investment. And so if you're not going to investment, that means no resourcing, that means no change rooms, that means no training, that means minimal training, minimal S&C work, minimal rehab. There's stories of players within the last 10 years. Yeah, within the last 10 years for our national competition that players had to get changed outside the stadium in trees behind in the park. You know what I mean? And so as you learn more about how things actually run, you understand the dollar drives everything. You're not going to get any, there's no real extra shock to occur. It's like, oh, cool. Makes sense. They don't give a shit,
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. They don't give a shit, because if it's a business, what do you need to do to start a business? You need to invest in it.
Exactly.
It requires money so that you can build upon it.
Yeah, money. And so for a long time when I got into it, I would put money into teams, in local teams. And when I couldn't put money in, the whole idea was visibility. Let's showcase what we can do, what we are doing. Because when you get visibility, you build a brand. And when you build a brand, people then will come and invest.
Yeah.
But the clubs at that time didn't have that vision, didn't have the understanding. Even now, to some extent, they don't do that as well as they could because their resources are taken elsewhere. And the thing is, well, if you want to build this avenue, you invest in it.
That's right.
It's a business.
Yeah, exactly. Recently, you said, I say recently, yesterday when we were talking, we were having a conversation about your business and your vision. And you said that you want to change people's way of viewing themselves and training and what they're capable of.
Yes.
So where did that come from, and how on earth are you going to make that change?
No, as soon as I leave, you're just like, right, no, it's like, I'm asking this.
Oh, get stored up here.
Okay. Phone, Josh just said this. Ask him about it. Okay.
That's right.
So where did that idea come from? I think it started initially, the seeds were planted with that first seminar, the squat seminar. And I was like, holy shit, Like I'm in the industry and I don't know half this stuff.
Mhm.
And I felt like when I left the seminar, I was like, I can't train anybody because I don't know nothing, right? And what I take from that is that I was very lucky at that time to be a part of that gym and that gym train that got that investment from that person, from Donald, who would come around and do those mentoring and seminars and education. Right, I was very lucky to have that. Then the more seminars that I did, the more mentoring I did with him, the more learnings that I did, and would go through, what he would recommend, and then do my own lateral research and go out from there and just branch out and learn more. I'm like, oh wow, like the human body can actually do so much stuff, and not necessarily the human body, the human being, if provided the right environment and if coached in the right way, or in a way that's conducive to them, And so that's when the seeds started to develop in regards to, all right, cool, here's what we can do physically. Here's what anybody can do physically. Well, then what can we do mentally? As you start to get into, okay, where are the limitations? Now it's mental, emotional, psychological, hormonal. How can we then make adjustments to these factors in their lives that help them take the next step and not make it like is a fad thing, or we do this because it's what everyone's doing. What people are shown or what people are privy to in regards to what they see in the media, what they see from their friends and family, what they see from their teams is very low level compared to what they could achieve or could do, provided they had high level coaching or high level training or the environment conducive to. That's what I think. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Well, let's do this. Now, how do we do that? Is investment. It's getting a massive burden of, a massive background of evidence. All right. So we've got all these people now who have achieved all these things. All right. We can show you what they've done. Massive level of education. So we're starting to put out a lot more stuff on, say, YouTube, a lot more stuff on video, a lot more visibility around what we're doing and how we're doing it. Right. Because then people start to see that, and we would try and make that, oh, here's what someone's doing, rather than like, oh, I was only told you could do this, this, and this, right? Well, actually, here's what can be done. We show that. And through those two things, having a bunch of evidence behind us and a bunch of experience behind us and a bunch of like testimonials of people doing stuff, combined with showing what's happening, we increase the visibility of what can be done. Then from there, people start to go, oh, awesome. How do we do it with me? Then we can sort of help, and it's also you kind of got to be a bit anti-grain with it as well. And that's part of what we're going to be doing as well, is like, here's what you have been told you can do. Here's what you have been told you can achieve. Here's what you actually can do. Here's why this is the case. No one, what I find is that, I say no one, people don't tend to talk about the shit that happens. Here's why you're told to see a physio 2 times a week for the next 6 months when you've had this injury. It's business. It's $1, right? Or here's why you're told to sign this contract for this healthcare, output, because it's $1, right? You're a number rather than a person. And it's those things where you got to kind of actually call that out a little bit and show a different way of doing things. And that's what we're basically doing.
What is the different way?
The different way is actually giving a shit about the person.
Yeah.
Right. So just giving a shit about the person and being like, cool, we don't need to have you, Jackie, booking out 3 of our spots a week every week for the next 6 weeks, because we've got other people that we need to help, because there are 8 billion people in the world and we see 14 million of them in Australia, and then we have 4 million of them in Adelaide or whatever it is. There's a lot of people that need help and that need assistance and need coaching and need guidance. So we don't need to have the same person taking up all our time, when at the end of the day we can be like, cool, we're still going to make money, right, as a business, and we still want to be able to invest in what we need to do, but we're going to do it by helping a broad spectrum of people, and we're going to be able to provide a system and provide a environment that everybody wins. I'm not sure if I've talked about it on the show before, definitely not on the Jackie Tan show, but what I look at when I look at business is 3 wins. So 3 winners in business, right? The customer, the client, has to win, right? They have to get the value for what they're paying for, and they have to get the outcome. Then the staff members have to win, right? They have to be paid and they have to get development and they have to get what they want from it. And the business has to win. Business has to make money so you can then invest back in the client, then back in the staff. And if all these three systems are winning, you've got three winners in every output, everybody wins it. Everybody wins. And you can actually make something that's going to be effective and lasting if everybody's winning all the time. If one of those people loses, then everybody loses. Because if the customer loses, they don't come back, right? They don't get the outcome, or they feel like they're getting cheated, or they're getting not where they want to go, or they're wasting money. They don't come back, right? Then you get another customer and the same shit happens because you haven't fixed up the other two. If staff member doesn't get what they want, they're not getting paid well, or they're not valued, or they're not getting development, they're not going to stay. And then the business doesn't make money, you can't invest in the two things. And the business doesn't grow, or it's not a respectable business, then the other two things can't succeed either. So all three have to win. And unfortunately, what I see in the industry, two industries at the moment, is that there's generally two winners. It's business and either customer, or business and either staff. And I don't like it, and so I want to change it. So I'm going to try to change it.
Okay, well, there's a few things in that. Firstly, you said, working with the client and, you give a shit about them. In the same sentence, you said, but we don't need to see you this many times a week. We want to be, there's billions of people in the world. We want to help everyone. Then what? Like, what are you giving the client? How are you making sure that they're experiencing what you want them to experience? Obviously helping them achieve their goals, but also making sure that they're able to see the bigger picture, whatever that picture is, whilst also looking after billions of people who need the care. Like,
so in that instance, I said we don't need to book you in 3 times a week.
Yep.
So we can still give you a program, we can still train you, we can still coach you, but you don't need to book in and see us one-on-one 3 times a week.
Okay.
So we can still see you, but those spots can be for other people now.
Yeah.
Now, how we go about doing it, not just specifically, how we go about doing it, we've invested in technology, we've invested in apps, we've invested in education, we've invested in an email list, so we provide a lot in regards to education for our clientele. We've designed a system where whenever anyone comes in, let's say into the gym, whenever anyone comes in, there's a coach on staff, right? So you're going to get coaching, even if you have, booked in for a one-on-one, you've seen a physio or you've seen someone for an assessment session. Anytime you come in to train, there's someone there and you can ask them anything about your program at any time. They'll update it for you. It's all done. There are videos that go with each exercise. Like, everything is there for you. And so you just have to get yourself into the gym, right? In that instance. And so that way, that then frees up the coaches' times, because they know they're on shift to look after whoever comes in at that point in time. Now, our other systems on that, we've got a whole bunch of other stuff that's follow-up and proactivity and whatever that comes with. It's all tailored towards the client and their outcomes and making sure they feel well and respected and valued and wanted, because traditionally, if you see someone, let's say S&C coach or personal trainer or physio, you see that person, right? Now, they may or may not follow up with you before your next session. They may or may not provide you any extra education before your next session. They may or may not be in touch with you before that next session. Now let's flip it. And if you see someone, S&C, personal trainer, physio, and then between that time and the next time you're in the gym, 4 other people get in contact with you, whether it's via email, whether it's via an education, whether it's via a text message and says, hey, Jackie, how you going? I know you saw Josh yesterday. How you feeling? I'm feeling great. I'm going to be in on Thursday. And on Thursday, someone else says to you, oh, we're looking forward to seeing you in today. It's super exciting. We've got everything prepared for you, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be like, oh my God, there's a whole team of people supporting me to get where I want to go. That's putting the customer first. That's putting the clientele first. The business still wins. Client still wins, the staff still win, because everyone's got their roles to play. And so now you feel well supported. Now we're going to provide you something that we can do that at scale. We can scale that. Now everybody that comes in feels like they're well supported. Everybody's going to be successful. It's not just about me and you one-on-one and then I'll see you next week and don't give a shit about you until then. It's not effective for the outcome for the person. I could get fired up here. Keep talking.
That's great. I mean, I love that because, I've even experienced that, coming into the gym, but also when I've been unwell and you know about it. And then I'm getting messages from, the
Yep.
other guys.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's lovely. So you do that really well. And what I want to know is, like, are you there yet? And if not, how far are you away from that?
Mhm.
And then what?
From I'll be there. Where's there? What do you mean?
Well, it sounds like all of these things that you've just said, it sounds like you're already doing, like you've implemented this system
Yeah.
where you're taking
Yeah.
care of people in the gym
Uh-huh.
and outside of the gym. So like, is that it? Like, what's next? How far does it go?
So the system's there, and we're constantly updating it, constantly refining it, but it's taken probably 18 months, maybe a good part of a year, to get the system ready and get the system sorted, that we have our operational checklist, we have our, what's required on shift, we have all that stuff done. System is there. Now we're in a phase where we're going to let people know about it, outside of those who already know about it. So now we're going to let people know about it. That's the next step. And then
I've always found that really interesting because, like, I had no idea about Mitise.
Yeah.
Like,
we stay very secluded.
Yeah, super. But you're thriving.
Basically built the business on word of mouth.
Yeah.
Purely word of mouth. And I'm like, cool, that's one avenue. It's been really well. But now if we want to be able to service more people and then take what we want to do to the next step and actually really test the system and make sure it's effective for everybody or those who we're trying to service, then we've got to advertise a bit more. We've got to get known a bit more.
Yeah.
So we've already started putting systems in place and projects in place to do that. So that's the step that way. And that's, now this is one interesting. The more we get known, the more our stuff gets known, the more you can compare to what's common in the industry, the more you can see the difference.
Yeah.
That will then start to affect change within the industry, hopefully. That's one industry. We've just started physio to give people a full spectrum approach to their physical output. We need to be able to cover their injuries, because what I would find is that people would get injured through sport or life, whatever, then they'd go see their own physio, or they go see a physio they know of from someone. They'd go see them. Then they'd come to the gym and we'd be like, what do you got to do? Like, oh, these exercises, and there'd be some scribble on a piece of paper. And they couldn't tell us how to integrate it into their plan or what the physio said to them, because they're getting it third hand, of course. And so we were like, well, for us to be able to provide the best service for them, for that person, we need to understand what's happening with their injuries and how we can then integrate into their program. And so I was like, we need to start a physio clinic. So start a physio clinic. And basically everything that's happened, as I alluded to at the start of the show, has been about getting physio on board. So now I've got a physio on staff, and she's contracted for hours per week when we're open. Whenever anybody comes in, she's there. Hey, how you feeling today? Feeling great? Cool. Saw you last week for your injury. How's that going? She's basically integrated into what we're doing. We've also got our director of physio. He's been on board for, like I said, 2 years. He's come back from paternity leave as well at the same time. And so now he mentors her, and then he basically sees a whole bunch of clientele, helps them out through their stuff. So the physio clinic's starting to actually really get some traction now. So the vision now is how we integrate physiotherapy with the gym setting in a way that is seamless, and it's not like, here are your rehab-based exercises and here's your rehab-based work and then here's your strength-based stuff or here's your training. At the end of the day, it's one body. You've got one body and your body's going to move in a certain way, and that's what people define as an exercise. So we're going to put it all together. And so traditionally, rehab exercises are boring. They're clinical. They take a whole bunch of time. You don't want to do them. You don't want to go anywhere and do them. It's not an environment that's like, this is fun. Whereas if we take what our physios recommend, so what Lewis and Paris recommend, and then we integrate it into someone's already functioning training plan, and it's just an exercise that they do as part of their 6 or 7 exercises they do anyway, or they're going to be doing anyway, they don't see it as a rehab program. It's just a program. It's just a training session, and they do it and they get the benefit, and then it's all together.
This is super interesting to me, and this is only obviously because of my business brain.
Yep.
So this will, I'm assuming the business people will appreciate this question, and maybe even the clients as well. But so then the physios, do they have access to their clients' training programs, and they can then go in and go, this is where this
Yep.
would.
So
That's
we're
awesome.
working on that stuff out now.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And I think because I had a conversation with a stretch therapist last year, and she was very much the same, saying people think of it like exclusively, like they're separate, but they can be done together and be really, really effective when programmed correctly.
Yeah.
And so when you program that in and it becomes a part of someone's training, not only are they getting the physical benefits, but you're changing the way they view training and certain types of exercises and how they move and how to look after themselves. And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. So that's the next step. That's what we're doing.
Cool.
So it's been cool. So yeah, we're basically working out what that looks like and how that looks. The physios are in contact with the S&C coaches and the personal trainers, and they actually communicate, whereas the traditional model is just siloed. You might go see your physio, and then you might then have to tell your personal trainer or your gym what you can and can't do, blah blah blah. It's all this it's like you said, they're exclusive, they're separate, but they're not. It's the one body, it's one thing. So how do we then create a system that everybody communicates? Jackie comes in for an injury assessment. Then once you leave, Jackie, within 3 hours, you get a message from your S&C coach or your personal trainer or your gym trainer that just says, hey, Jack, heard about this. We're going to change your program like this. Feel good. See you soon. And you're like, whoa, that's awesome. That's what we're trying to do. Just be awesome.
Nice one. I love it. What has been anything over the years that's been so pivotal in the way you think, whether it has been for business or personally? What has been something that's
anything.
We
got balloons going off. There are balloons on there. There are balloons on the screen.
Oh, that's because we should be celebrated.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
But honestly, I don't know what that is. And
saw them going off.
Still recording.
Caught my eye. Things have been like in general.
Yeah, I mean, because something, I just think anything that has a major impact on you as a person or the way you think is going to impact the way you see everything, right? Yeah. So has there been anything in particular for you where you look back over the years and go, if it weren't for that thing, I wouldn't be the person I am, or I wouldn't be running the business the way I do currently? Like,
over time, the evolution mentally and personally has been resilience. You have to build some resilience, and you have to have a bit of like, okay, cool, what's the next step? You have to be, rational about things, I think, when you think about it. And understanding sunk cost fallacy is pivotal. I don't think there's a lot of people in general society who would understand that just because you've spent money or spent time or spent effort in doing something previously, you have to continue doing it. That's the fallacy. Just because you've sunk a cost into something doesn't mean you have to continue. I did 2 years of uni.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but you got to recognize it, right? If you actually want to make change, And so for me, it was like, I spent 2 years at uni. I don't have to do 4 years. I can leave now. You don't have to do anything. The only thing is children, right? You have a kid, you can't put it back. You know what I mean? Everything else you can change. That's for life. And so understanding that, and then you obviously take the process of, okay, risk and reward, and what do I need to do, and is it viable financially or from economically or time perspective or whatever to do that. You make those adjustments as you do it. But I just think there's this idea that because you're doing this now is what you're going to be doing, and seeing a different future and working out what your runway is. Like, how long, if I quit my job today, if it was a financial one, if I quit my job today, how long can I last without money? Number one. How long can
without an income,
and not even income, without money, because you can make money. You can go out down to Malobo and be like, hey, cafe, I want to clean some chairs for you for $50. And is that going to work or not? You know what I mean? Like, are you above that? That's a thing. Do you feel like you're above that? I'm never going to do that. Well, guess what? If you need to get money, then you're going to do that. You're just not about having a job or an income. When you say income, obviously income of money, but it doesn't have to be like a set income. It doesn't have to be like I've got to work for someone. I can do things in other ways, and I think the generation now we've got coming up is seeing that a lot more. Is seeing that there are different ways to earn money. There are different ways to get money to have a living. And that changes the entire outlook on university, for number one, or business, number two, or responsibility, number three. What am I going to do with my life, number four? Agency of the self. How much do you feel like you're in control of your outcome and your destiny? It's all part of it.
Interesting.
I mean, you could keep talking, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You said something about rationality, and I wanted to say something, and then I forgot what it was. But
taking a rational approach to things. Once you made a decision, working out what the next steps might be, and being rational about it.
But what if that's not clear? Like,
learn.
All they know is, and I can speak from experience because I'm still a bit lost in myself and my head and what's next. If there's no clarity on that, and I've done all the figure out what the big vision is, and then it doesn't matter if you don't know how to get there. Just take one step forward, and the path will eventually. I've heard all of the things. And for someone who is in, let's just say, a really well-paid job, so the thought of moving away from that and having to part ways with a really great income, but they're really unhappy, could be a really difficult thing. And where does rationale come into that? Like, the income I've got now is amazing, and it funds it, lifestyle, great lifestyle and family, but I'm miserable. Like, how do you
ask the question, is the income what's keeping you there, or is it your expenses that are keeping you there?
Oh, good one.
At the end of the day,
what if it's the expenses again? The lifestyle is the thing that does make you happy, though. Is it like, well, just keep going?
As in, so the lifestyle, you can fund your expenses.
Yes.
You're happy in the lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you're not happy in the job.
Yeah.
Great, cool. So let me start here. We go, awesome. How much do you need to sustain the lifestyle with $1 to save? Right? Let's say you fund your lifestyle and you go, cool, I'm earning 100 grand. My lifestyle is 100 grand. All right, cool. We need to make you earn 100 grand. Number one, either that, or we look at, okay, cool, you might need to take a step back for a time being to then bounce back 2 steps ahead of that. As I was saying before, right? When I talked about getting up at 3 a.m. for a couple of days, short term, right? But what happens, what people don't account for in that time is that I guarantee you, if we remove you from an unhappy environment and you know how long a period of time you've got to make something happen, you're going to, if you're this way inclined, you're going to do what's required to get that back because you're going to be happier. You're going to have more vibrancy about you. You're going to be out there going to be like, oh, cool. I like talking to people on a podcast. I want to go email everyone in the world to see who wants to get on a podcast with me. And through that, then other opportunities then come up. Now, do I necessarily believe in the path will come? Blah, blah? No, it won't. You never find that. It doesn't happen like that. Everyone, look back 10 years, right? Everyone who said that to you 10 years ago, what are they doing? Probably the same shit, guaranteed, right? Or sadder than they are. Because it doesn't happen like that. Because what you dream about in your vision, right, is not the actuality of the world. It's a romantic idea, right? The actuality of the world is, cool, I enjoy doing whatever that may be, right? How can I make that part of what I want it to be? How can I make this a part of my life? Now, that might be where have you got time to add this stuff in? So let's say you're in your full-time job, right? You're a well-paid job and you're working, let's give it 60 hours a week. Okay. You're working 60 hours a week, which is more than normal, and it funds your lifestyle, but you want to get out of that. Well, you've got another 60 something hours a week, 70 hours a week, you can do stuff in the other time. If you're working 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, you've still got another 2 days a week. You can start to explore some things that bring you joy. Or you can explore some things that might give you an income. And it's the level to which you explore that is then going to determine what your outcome is. Cool. All of a sudden, you're now earning $500 a day doing something else, selling stuff at a market or, helping people out, doing some, learn how to speak better on a podcast, right? You are now earning, let's say $400 a day. You can then drop a day a week at work with the same income. Do that again. Do it for a second day. You then drop another day at work. So now you're doing 3 days out of the 5 days you were doing. You're going to be happier. So because you're happier, earning money elsewhere, doing something that you enjoy doing, you're going to put more effort into that. Then that effort then compounds. And then eventually what happens over time is that you can then substitute your income, what you're doing elsewhere. But there's a sacrifice. There's a sacrifice that has to be made. And I've got had these conversations before. Let's say 10 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Actually, I'll give you a better one. 14 years ago, I was talking to a mate of mine about DJing. So I DJ on the side, as you know, right? And talking to a mate of mine about DJing. He's like, I said to him, I will pay you X $100 a night, multiple hundreds of dollars a night to DJ if you want to DJ. I'll get the working for you. You just got to rock up. I'll teach you to DJ. Doesn't take that long. You can then do it. That's a Friday night or a Saturday night. You could choose what you want to do, and earn some money, fund the lifestyle, job a day at work. And he said to me, nah, I just want to play the music I want to play. And I said, well, you can't. If you're servicing someone, you've got to play what they want you to play. But you're going to get multiple hundreds of dollars a night to do that. Nah, I'm okay. Right? And I'm like, cool. 14 years have passed. Well, 13 years have passed. It was last year. That same mate has said to me, I wish I'd taken you up on that. I didn't want to give up my Friday nights. I didn't want to give my Saturday nights. I just wanted to play the music I want to play. But I've seen what you've done with that now. And so there's a sacrifice involved. There's a time sacrifice or a money sacrifice or I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. But guess what? If you want to actually achieve something that you want to achieve with vision and with purpose and with happiness and with joy, or just want to feel better in life, you're going to have to sacrifice something because you're in the position that you're in currently because shit's been the same. You haven't had to sacrifice much. You've just gone there and you're still going. You cut the status quo, change some shit, and then you make shit happen.
So with your friend,
yes.
Hindsight is one thing, but also does he look at you go, that's really cool, I wish I'd done that, but actually I actually more so like the idea of that and what that means as opposed to really understanding and knowing what it means, like what you're saying, the sacrifice that it takes to do that thing. Do you know what I mean? Because it's easy to go, I want to be healthy and I want to walk every day in the morning and then I'm going to go for a run every evening, and I'm going to have, a healthy lunch or smoothie straight. These are all ideas and the idea of it sounds really awesome. But at the end of the day, it's the idea that they're in love with, not so much the doing of that.
Yep.
So
So the answer is discipline. The answer is discipline. The idea is great. Everyone has ideas all the time, right? But the answer is the discipline you have to actually do it and seek it out. Let's say he said to me, oh, cool, that sounds like a great idea. Let's give it a try. And he does one gig. I teach him, does one gig, earns his couple $100 that night. And he goes, you know what? I didn't really like it. I'll give it one more try.
Yeah.
Does it. Doesn't really like it. Guess what? You've tried it. You've earned $1,000. And guess what? That's it. You know what? And you've given it a try.
How long do you think, though, that takes, to try something in order to know whether it's something that you want to be doing for a couple of years?
Well, the way I think about it is you go 2 tries minimum, right? If it's something event-based.
Yeah.
Because the first try might either feel really, really great. Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to do it again. And then shit. You're like, okay, cool. Well, I'll try a third.
Or on the flip side, it's really shit. And then the next time it's really
And the next time it's really great. And you work out, okay, what was good, what was shit. And then it's just like drawing one of those dot line paint drawings, right? It's dot to dot to dot, And if it works for you, then you continue. If it doesn't work, you don't continue after those 2 times, because that gives you a line. One point connected to another point. And then if that both the times are like average or something happens, it's not good for you, then you don't do it. You just try something else that might bring some value or might bring some happiness or might be something you enjoy doing, and that's I don't think people try enough. They would rather watch TV in the evening, or they would rather, do things that aren't actually creating a sense of either connection to themselves or connection to their community or their environment, or something that brings them joy outside of their regular. And what tends to happen, you heard of golden handcuffs. No, golden handcuffs, right? You're paid very well for your work, which covers your expenses, but you can't do shit.
Yeah.
Because you're tired or because your expenses are so high that your income is not covering them. You're handcuffed to that job situation. There's no freedom in that. And so it's try that stuff. And like I said, if he'd have tried it and was like, nah, then great. You might have done something else. It might have inspired him to try something else. I tried it and I loved it. And I was like, oh, I can see how a Friday night and a Saturday night where I might do 6 hours a night, 12 hours a weekend will then help fund me a 3-day or a 4-day or a 6-day trip internationally, or that might help me buy some equipment for the gym, or that might help me set up a house, And so it's a discipline to go through that. Like DJing isn't easy. Take it this way, right? Especially weddings. There's a lot of stress involved. You got to know your shit. You got to have a system for it. And you're driving home generally 1 a.m., 2 a.m. at night from shitty venues. In the middle, not shitty venues, fantastic venues with fantastic food, but in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so that's not fun. That is dangerous. And that is risky. That's why you get paid good money to do it. But at the end of the day, if you go through with it, you can then use that to fund something else. You can use that to fund, like, you cannot go through life just doing whatever the hell you want unless you're a trust fund baby. There's no resource. You have to create your own resource. And that resource comes, like, back in the day, you'd have to dig or you have to hunt to get your resource. Now we're just given resource and there's ample food around and there's ample comfort around. And so you don't have to really seek outside things to actually achieve anything. And so then people complain about not getting where they want to go. Well, you actually got to dig for your resource. Go find something.
Yeah.
And that's where I think about that. It's trying the things that come up. I've tried a whole bunch of shit, had multiple failed businesses before because I tried it, loved it for a time being, and was like, well, this isn't really vibing. Can it? Clothing company, used to sell sunglasses, a whole bunch of different shit.
Really?
We used to make and sell our own wooden sunglasses.
Wooden? Yeah, I remember when that was a thing.
Yeah, so we used to get them all made up with the Carl Zeiss lenses, and we had all the different like frames and shit, and we used to sell them. Right? That was great. That was while I was running the gym and while I was doing DJing as well, trying new shit.
I love that.
Yeah, I know. Random fact for you today.
Super random.
But heaps of shit like that.
Yeah.
Heaps of shit. And like, if I'd loved sunglasses and I loved that process of doing that, I would have continued doing that and dropped something else.
Yeah.
But I haven't found anything I love more than the gym and the fitness industry and physiotherapy industry and like providing people that outcome and providing great vibes at a wedding or great vibes at a function. I love that as well. So there's when something surpasses that in regards to love and economics, then I'll explore that if that comes up. But for now, I'm chilling.
Next episode, Josh's businesses. All right, let's round this up. And I'd love for you to ask a question of this incredible listener. Something that you think is important today that they go away and think about after hearing this conversation.
What are you doing currently that you don't have to be doing, but you feel compelled to do?
Good one. And that is it for today. Thanks, Josh, for joining me on the show.
Yeah.
And we'll catch everyone next time for the next installment of
next time.
Josh's businesses.
Thank you, Jackie.
What a legend. Go check out Josh and the Mitise crew at Mitise Performance. You can check them out on Instagram, give them a Google, and get in touch with them because they're doing awesome things, and they do really make the environment, the gym environment, a place that is really comfortable. It's full of community, and it's just a really great place to work on yourself and improve yourself and do it in an environment that is really supported by wonderful people. So go check them out. If you enjoyed this episode, as always, hit the subscribe, give us a comment if you are watching this on YouTube. I want to know, how many lessons have you learnt in the last, let's say 2023, because over the lifetime there could be many. So leave us a comment below. I would love to hear from you and connect with you, because that makes this podcast and these conversations a whole lot more richer when I get to hear where you are from and what you're doing and how you're moving through life as well. So make sure you leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. As always, stay awesome, and we will catch you in the next one.